was the Soyuz capsules haven't changed much, whereas the American vehicles have evolved and didn't feel much different. The most magnificent flying vehicle ever built was the shuttle. A fantastically capable vehicle. 3/4 of everybody who's ever flown in space to this point flew on the shuttle. 3/4. More Americans went to the Russian space station Mir than Russians, because the shuttle was this great delivery vehicle and incredibly capable. And of course, in order to do its primary role of bringing a big complex payload back to Earth gently, the shuttle had to come into the atmosphere very smoothly and had to land very smoothly. Because its original purpose was to take a spy satellite up and launch out of Vandenberg and go around the world once, take pictures of the Middle East hotspots, come back around, and then have just enough wing to be able to sort of side slip the amount of degrees that the Earth turned in 90 minutes, and then land back again. That's what the shuttle was originally scoped for. So you had to be able to land gently to keep your telescope safe. So the byproduct of that was, it was almost like coming home on Alaskan Airlines. It was just kind of nice and gentle. You don't pull more than 2G on the way home. So a magnificently capable vehicle. Soyuz is equally magnificently capable, but for a very different purpose. And the whole purpose of the Soyuz is to take 3 people, get them up to a space station, and then provide a lifeboat for them for up to almost a year, 10 months or 11 months, where every single piece of equipment in that Soyuz, from the thermal regulation system to the parachutes to the survival food packages, are all certified to be able to take the wicked environment of space for a year. The high radiation, the fact that it's plus 150 in the sun and minus 120 in the shade, and you go around that 16 times a day, the micrometeorite hits that you get all the time, that vehicle is always right there, so that if you catch fire or have a depress, you can jump into your Soyuz and you can land anywhere on Earth and have a vehicle that can withstand the landing, but also have all the survival gear inside so that you could land in the Himalayas or land in Tahiti or in the Sahara or anywhere and be able to survive for 3 days. And then at the end of the flight, be able to accurately take you back to Kazakhstan where you launched. So the Soyuz, wonderful vehicle, and it looks like it hasn't changed much, but it's had, every single Soyuz is an improvement on the one previous. Significant changes inside. We went from being a real primitive analog vehicle to start now it's fully digital with a full analog backup. So if we don't have to do anything, well, there's a few things, but basically the vehicle is designed so that if the crew was incapacitated or unconscious, it would still bring us back safely to Earth if we lost consciousness on the way home, which takes some pretty exquisite engineering. And it's got a full digital and then a partial analog digital, a full analog backup to that. And to me, it's like a sculpture that some of the best artists in the world have been refining carefully for 40 years, getting better every single time. It's a really good spaceship. And the big difference is it's new every time we fly one. So you're not stuck with a frozen aerodynamic design or a frozen electrical architecture that you just can't change. You know, the shuttle had 128K of memory. 128K. Everything in the entire shuttle ran on 128K of memory. The flight control system, navigation, all the displays, everything. We had 256 available, but the software had originally been written for less, so we had to squeeze all of that. And I don't know if you know, but for launch, when we got to orbit, we would dump all memory, and off tape, we would load an entire new orbital software package to fill that 128K again so that we could stay in orbit, and then we do it again to come back to Earth. I mean, really primitive, and no way to upgrade it because there's no way to flight test it apart from risking a crew. You know, you just got to live with what you have. So the Soyuz is a new vehicle every time, and so it's immensely capable also. But the ride home is not very nice. It is. You ride a meteorite home, and you have a survivable crash when you land. That's I take Yuri Gagarin, of course, the first guy to launch. He flew not in a Soyuz, but a predecessor to it, Vostok, and it wasn't even landable. It was a sphere. completely unsteerable, came into the atmosphere ballistically, just like a ball, and then when he got down to about 15,000 feet, he ejected from it. And that thing plowed into a field, and he came down under a parachute, and that's how they won the race to be the first person in space ahead of Al Shepard. Because and a lot of people say, well, you didn't really win because you cheated over the last 15,000 feet. But they eventually made it so you could survive the crash. But it's equivalent to, for just visualizing the speeds, if you were standing on the top of a semi, driving maybe whatever the wind speed is, 20 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour, standing on the top of a semi, 30 miles an hour, and you jump off. The vertical speed is about that, the horizontal speed's about that. But you're riding, of course, in a titanium bathtub. So it's like if you were sitting in, I don't know, 3 guys in a titanium smart car, sitting on top of a semi. Sounds like a Mythbusters episode, right? 3 guys in a titanium smart car on top of a semi, and they threw you off the side, driving down the highway at 30 miles an hour. So you'd fall, wham, into the ground, and you'd tumble end over end a bunch of times. That's how a Soyuz lands, just like that. But, you know, I lived. Yes, sir.